What's going on, y'all? Happy Sunday. Happy Sunday. Happy Sunday. It's been a minute since we streamed live. And so definitely want to get on here and do some analysis because last week we had NFP and we had a lot of major moves in the market last week. And so this week we're going to be looking to capitalize off of what happened last week. And with all the NFP residual or leftovers or whatever, we usually have CPI the following week. And so last week we had a lot of movement to the upside. So this week we're going to be looking for a lot of retracements. Okay, we got a lot of imbalances on a lot of time frames. We had major liquidity being taken out. So we definitely it's gonna have a really good week. Hey, my man Ish, what's going on, man? Glad you can join us today. Hey, you guys, and if you guys have any pairs you want to see in the chat, see marked up, please put them in the chat. Today I'm actually adding a few extras. We're gonna add Nas 100. We're gonna also add the S&P 500 to our analysis as well. That's one of the pairs, well, a couple of the pairs that we've been kind of looking at a lot lately. And with all of the buzz that's going on in the Forex market, been dabbling in futures last week. And so in the future space, Nas is considered to be NQ and S&P 500 is ES. So I traded S&P 500 a lot last week as far as ES on the future side. And so I didn't do a lot of trading as far as Forex pairs because price was in a lot of areas where it was pretty much off limits for me. And so I was waiting for retracements and things like that. And so price just kept going higher and higher and higher. And because of that, I'm the type of person where I'll sit on my hands. I won't force a trade just because I haven't traded in a few days. However, the S&P 500 and Nas from the future side, they presented some opportunities, so I took advantage of those. But on the Forex side, like I said, I didn't do a lot of trading. I think I caught one or two trades, or maybe one trade on gold. But other than that, I didn't do a lot of trade. I only took like one trade the entire week on Forex, period. And so this week, I'm looking for a lot of that stuff to capitalize, and I'm looking for a lot of opportunities this week. So let's go ahead and get into it. Let's start off with a word of prayer first. Dear Heavenly Father, I want to thank you for this day, Lord. I want to thank you for life, health, and strength. I want to thank any and everybody that's under the sound of my voice. First off, I want to thank everybody who's ever came across the Pips Academy or who's involved with the Pips Academy. And I pray that this particular channel will continue to provide value to all those who's engages in it. I pray that this resource of trading will allow somebody to become financially free. And I pray that we can help someone to reach their goals, to look at the market different, and ultimately become more profitable than they were last week. And Lord, we ask these things in Jesus' name we pray. Amen. All right, y'all, man, let's get into it. Like I say, I'm always excited to get in the charts. I don't know about y'all, but I really enjoy marking up the charts, looking for opportunities. So let's look at our news analysis first off, just to kind of see what we got going on. So Sunday we got the JPY tonight, final gross domestic product, GDP news. Tomorrow we got Chinese yuan. So no major things popping off tomorrow and Monday, but going into Tuesday, we can see during our London session, we got a couple red folders. We got the Claremont court change on the British pound, and then kicking off our New York session, we got USD, that CPI that I was talking about. So Tuesday, we definitely should see a lot of fireworks. We also got the 10-year bond auction as well. And so on the future side, bonds are traded. I haven't necessarily dipped into the bonds. However, those are definitely traded on the future side. So for those who are dibbling and dabbling in that, look for some action around 12 noon Central Time on Tuesday. Okay. Now going into Wednesday for the British pound, we got GDP as well. And we got the 30-year bond auction on USD again at 12 noon. So this week is going to be huge for the bonds, okay? Going into Thursday, we got core PPI on USD at 7:30, and as you can see, we got a lot of action on Thursday with the US dollar. And then closing it off for Friday, we have state manufacturing index, we have industrial production, and then we also have consumer sentiment and inflation expectations. Okay, so we got a lot of movement with the USD pair, and for those who trade the British pound as well. So be mindful of that. Like I said, we got a lot of action, so I'm excited. Let's go ahead and jump into it. We're gonna kick it off with EU. Oh, and if anybody have any pairs, like I said, that you want to see marked up, put them in the chat, and I'll be happy to get to them. All right. So let's start off with EU. And so a lot of times, because we didn't do analysis last week, and it was the beginning of the month. At the beginning of the month, I usually like to look at the monthly to see what the last monthly candle have, kind of did, and then I'll kind of break it down, top-down analysis on all those different pairs, and that's how we kind of do it. All right. So if we're looking at EU on the monthly time frame, a couple of things that we can see on this pair. We can see this pair is pretty much giving us a retracement, because you can see on this particular pair, you know what, I'm gonna start a little further back. From a monthly perspective, lower low, lower high, lower low, price is pretty much retracing, and price is retracing into this area right here. We got a a supply zone right in this area here. Okay. And so with that being said, let's look and see how far this retracement was on this monthly time frame. And we can see, look at this. This is perfect. It retraced literally at the 61.8 in our golden zone on a monthly time frame. Showed some massive rejection, and price started to dip off to the downside, and that's from a monthly perspective. Okay, so one of the things that we can possibly expect is for price to go down on the euro. Okay, we can express prices to be bearish. So looking at our weekly, let's see what we have. Okay, let's remove our monthly for a second. Where is our monthly? That was way down here. And we're gonna throw this one up in there as well in our monthly time frames. All right, so if we're looking at our weekly, one of the things that we can see on the weekly, and this even confirm our monthly analysis, we can see that we had price to give us a change of character or a break of structure, whichever one you want to call it. Price came up, dipped into this weekly supply, and we got a reaction. Okay, and so on a smaller time frame, we might see some of that same reaction as well. All right, but right now, one of the things that we can target is this weekly liquidity down here to the downside. All right, so if we shoot off to our daily structure, what do we see? We see the same thing. All of these time frames are correlating with each other. Okay, so if we look at the daily, it looks almost identical to the weekly. We can see that we were bullish initially. Price came up, gave us a change of character or break of structure. Price retraces currently in our daily golden zone. Okay, and whenever price kind of gets in daily golden zones and things like that, those are the times that we can really take advantage of if we can catch price, and really kind of catch it, because we can possibly ride price down really, really far and get some nice pips on whatever it is that we're doing. All right. Hey, can you guys hear me? I want to make sure that you guys can hear me because I'm seeing some trouble signals. Let me just make sure that you guys are good. If you can comment in the chat and let me know that y'all still good. Hold on one second. Can y'all hear me? Just let me know. Put something in the chat and let me know y'all can still hear me. Okay, yeah. Okay, yeah, it's good. All right, so getting back to it. Okay, perfect. All right, so we can see, like I said, that we got price to retrace within our golden zone from a daily perspective, and everything is pretty much correlating. Monthly, weekly, daily, everything looks good. All right, so let's go to our 4 hour. And on a 4 hour time frame, what do we see? Okay, so we see that we're bullish on the 4 hour time frame. We can see price was in a decline initially. We got a break of structure, price pulled back, and then it went to the upside. Okay, so right now we're waiting for price to pretty much retrace or give us a break of structure on the 4 hour. But because we're in an incline here on the 4 hour time frame, one of the things that we can possibly see is price can possibly come all the way up to this daily supply up in this area here. Okay, so now if we drop it down to the 15 minute, let's look at the current structure that we can play around with, because once we kind of get a change of character on the 15 minute, that's where we can actually start to ride price down, because price is in golden zone areas and we can really kind of take advantage of it. And if we look at this closely on the 15 minute time frame, we're not ready to retrace on that 4 hour yet. But right now we can see we have a 15 minute, our 15 minute low is here and our 15 minute high is here. We also have liquidity down in this area, which we got on NFP this past Friday. Okay, this here, price came down, took out this low here, and then it kind of skyrocketed up, giving us kind of like a whiplash type of situation. So for those who traded NFP, I hope that you were careful and things like that and didn't get caught in by the Raptors or whatever. But one of the things that we can see on this though is if we get a change of character or a break of structure in this area and a retest, we have some liquidity down here that we can come and tackle. We have liquidity. We have our previous New York session here, which was on the 7th of last week. And we also have our Asian low down here as well, which was on Tuesday of last week. So we have some areas to pretty much tackle as far as liquidity. So for me, I'll be looking for that break of structure or change of character on the 15 minute. And so let me go ahead and add that. Let's see, EU 15 minute BOS. And I'll make sure that I add this in our Discord channel. That way we all can know as well. And just from the way this pair is moving, this literally probably will be one of my primary pairs that I'll be looking at this week. Let me find a previous, there we go. That's what I needed. I need to copy this. And so, like I said, EU will probably be one of my primary pairs that I'll be looking for or looking at this week, just because I like the way the structure is kind of playing out, because it's in areas where it's not really off limits for me anymore. Okay. All right. And that's pretty much what I have on EU. Like I said, EU will probably be one of my primary pairs that I'll be looking at. All right. So let's go ahead and look at GU. And let's go to the monthly. Okay. All right. So on our monthly time frame, let's look and see what we are. So we're bearish as well on our monthly time frame. We can see price came down, gave us a lower low, gave us a high here, complex pullback. All of this is pretty much noise, and then it dropped to the downside here. Okay, and we start to get us a pullback in this area right here. All right, and so we're definitely well within our golden zone. If we throw this on there, we can see price is almost approaching our 78.6 level within our golden zone on a monthly. One of the things that we can see is price came up and kind of took out this imbalance here, which this area here is probably a supply on a smaller time frame. We didn't quite make it up to this area. We were close though. Let me kind of look at it. We were close in this area here on the monthly, but we can also see in this area here, you know, price, it reacted to this, came down, and then price gave us a reaction in this supply zone here on the monthly. So if we break it down to the weekly, let's see what we have. Okay, let me remove my monthly structure right quick. So if we break it down to the weekly, I got two of these, I don't need two. One of the things that we can see is we had a break of structure or change of character on the weekly. Price came back, gave us a reaction into the supply right up in here. Okay. Also, on the weekly time frame, we can see we had a lot of liquidity building up in this area, and price pretty much took out that liquidity from a weekly perspective. Okay, so that's something to note. And we can also see that we have liquidity down in this area right here as well. Okay, we got these relative equal lows down here, or this sell side liquidity. So we'll be looking for price to pretty much kind of take out this liquidity down in this side here. Let me go ahead and notate that. Okay. So that's what we're looking at on the weekly time frame. All right. So now let's go to the daily. See what we're working with. Let me remove this weekly. So on the daily time frame, we can see we have bullish momentum, but we had a lot of consolidation. Like, it was just in this area for a while, and we can see all of this action right here. But you can see we still have bullish structure though. Higher high, higher low. Let me make this a little darker so you guys can see that. All right, so we had higher high, higher low, higher high, higher low, and we got price to break this high here. So we're still bullish on the daily time frame, okay? And the last thing that we can see on the daily time frame is we had this this demand zone here, okay? This daily demand right here. And so we can see this daily demand is extremely strong. And I say that because as you can look at it, there is no bearish candles in this area, but more importantly so, it broke this short-term high in this area here, and this demand zone led to taking out all of this liquidity right here. Okay, all of this liquidity right here was taken out by this demand zone here. So this is a strong level in this area here. Okay, not only did it take out all this liquidity, it took out this high, this liquidity, this high, and this high. All of this was a cause from this demand zone here. So that's a major level that we want to notate. All right, so price at some point would definitely come back and give us a reaction to this demand zone. Whether it break through or not, price definitely is going to come back to that area. Okay, so now let's go to our 4 hour. Let me put this in our daily area though. So now let's go over to our 4 hour. Okay, so on a 4 hour time frame, we can see that we had a change of character, break of structure, however you want to look at it. Let me throw that daily back on here for a minute. Okay, so one of the things that we want to look for is for price to possibly give us a pullback into this area and possibly continue to the upside. All right, and so for a second, let's throw our weekly areas back on there and because I need to look at something. That way I can correlate this thing. Let's go back to our daily. Okay. All right. Yeah, because I wanted to look at this because, like I said, we're still bullish on all these other time frames. And so from the daily perspective, it might go up a little bit further, but we can see that on this 4 hour that we want to see a pullback. You know, that's one of the things that we want to see. Since we're bullish now on the 4 hour, that's one of the things that we want to see. Okay, so now let's look at the 15 minute and see exactly where we can play around at and actually capitalize off the market. Okay, so on our 15 minute time frame, we can see we're playing around within this range here. And so, you know, whatever price decides to do, it's pretty much, it's bullish right now. And so for me, with this particular pair, I want to see it break structure and come the other way. That way we can look to start to ride price down to the downside. So again, I'm gonna go ahead and set an alert here. GU 15-minute BOS. Come here. Let me grab this. That way we can get these alerts in our Discord. Hey, put in the chat, how many of you guys traded last week? I'm curious to know. And what pairs did you trade? Because like I said, for me, I took like one trade last week. And that pretty much was it. Like I really didn't trade anything pretty much all last week. I took one trade, I believe, and that was it. But as far as on GU, that's all I'm looking for. I want to see price break structure, retest, and then me possibly ride it down to this demand zone here. And that's pretty much what I'm looking for right now on GU. Okay. Now let's look at gold, and then from there we're gonna hop into NAS 100 and also the S&P 500. So let's go to the monthly on gold right quick, kind of see what we got going on. Hey, I feel you, Ish. Yeah, last week it was almost pretty much a no-go for me, man. Like we really didn't have too much popping off because price was like in my no man's land zones most of the time. So like I said, oh yeah, some quick scalps on Nas. Yeah, Nas gave a few opportunities. I think I took maybe one trade on Nas, but it was on the future side. I took it on NQ, and then as far as S&P 500, I traded ES. It's called ES on that side, and so that's all I traded. Like I said, it wasn't really popping off. NFP, yeah, I was eating popcorn watching that. I didn't really do I didn't do nothing with NFP. I'm not in the business of letting money just get taken just because I got the urge to trade. If anybody feel like they have the urge to trade and you gotta feel that thirst, trade in the demo. You can fill that void in the demo, as opposed to, you know, giving money to the market like that unexpectedly. Because NFP, like I said, it can blast you out and it can whip blast you from both directions. Hence, look at this candle right here. No, that's in December, my bad. But I'll show you in gold what happened in NFP. But if we're looking at this from a monthly perspective, we can see that we're bullish on gold. And we finally took out, look at this, relative equal highs right here. Price been waiting to take this out for a long time. And you can see price took out this major liquidity on the monthly time frame. Okay, and so a lot of things just correlated last week on gold and a lot of other pairs. You know, a lot of liquidity and unfulfilled orders that were really, really high. And as we can see, gold right now is at its all-time high. Well, it hit an all-time high. It almost hit 2,200 on gold. That it never even got up to this area before. Just look at gold. Just look at the inception of gold. Gold started way down here around $21. And as you can see, it's never been up in this area here, ever. So gold is at its all-time high, which is another reason why I'm kind of expecting some pullbacks, because it's extremely high. If you look at, if anybody trade RSIs and all of that, I'm pretty sure that joke is super oversold right now. But let's go ahead and go to the weekly. All right. So if we're looking at the weekly, let me remove my monthly right quick. On our weekly, we have a demand zone down here. That's pretty much the only thing we have. This weekly demand zone led to breaking this liquidity area here. Okay. All right, so we want to look at those things. Those demand zones are strong, so we want to see price pretty much pull back into that area. All right, so let's go ahead and go to our daily. I'm gonna remove the weekly for a second. Remove this. So this was major liquidity right here that price was looking to take out, because I know a lot of people, when they were doing their analysis, they were, they were wondering like, hey, is this the high? Is this the high? This liquidity here, but we can see price finally took out that liquidity because this was the all-time high back in November when price got up to this area. It's right around 21.50, and so price literally got up to like 21.95 on Friday of last week. All right, and you can see all of these major levels that it pretty much broke through, and we can see from a daily perspective as well. If we look at our daily structure, higher high, higher low, price played around and just skyrocketed on up. But one of the things that we can see is no bearish candles in this area. So price just literally shot off. And so here we are again, looking at this from a daily perspective, a daily demand that's extremely strong that broke 1, 2, 3, 4 highs, okay, with no kickback. So this area is extremely prominent, and this is a huge daily demand level, okay? So let's go ahead and look at our 4-hour and see what we got going on. 4-hour, we can see that we broke structure. It almost looks similar to GU that we were just looking at. And so we can tell that initially we were bearish. Okay, price came down, lower low, lower high, lower low, lower high, lower low, broke structure. So we want to see a nice pullback come back into this area here. Okay, so now let's go to our 4 hours right here. I was looking at the daily. So on the 4-hour, we can see we got all of these little moves or whatever, but none of it is giving us, substantial, anything that's prominent to say, it's a pullback or whatever, because when you look at this candle here, nothing really broke outside of this candle here. So these are just complex pullbacks. And so price pretty much giving these little moves here, and it pretty much just staggered away up in this area here. Okay, so let's go to our 15-minute and see what we have. So on our 15-minute structure, let's take a look at NFP right quick though. This is why I was saying if you got the urge to just trade and just choose a demo, because look at this candle here. Okay, this candle, I mean, if you looking at this candle, even if we go to like the 5-minute or whatever the case may be, you know what I'm saying? This didn't really give you an opportunity to do anything unless you took some sort. No, I don't even say that. It didn't give you an opportunity because price started here, and let's just say if you say I'm gonna go ahead and take a buy if price breaks this area, stop loss, you wanted to put it here. And I don't know what you would have wrote it to, because at that time, nothing was really there. I guess you could have said, this is like a 1-to-1, which is horrible risk to reward. Because you couldn't really say, I'm gonna target this, because there was nothing up here to target. Okay? So if you just came here and just said, I'm gonna take a buy stop, as soon as this thing popped off, it shot down first. Shot down first. It shot down here, took out all of this liquidity, which it came literally right here to this imbalance right here, this small imbalance over here. You can barely see it. Then it shot all the way up, came down a little bit more, shot up, and then that thing decided to trickle back down to come tap into this demand zone and clear out this imbalance that it did. So it wasn't even worth playing with. Yeah, it wasn't even worth it. So right now on the 15-minute, we're sitting within this range. Okay, and so right now I don't know if price wants to continue higher and maybe tap into the 2200 area, but I don't know, because we got a lot of stuff that's extremely bullish right now. And so price, a lot of people are expecting price to pull back, and the banks, they know that, they understand that. And so the banks have a lot of manipulation. They manipulate markets. That's what they do. Hence all of the liquidity that you see and liquidity grabs and all of this kind of thing. So they understand and know people expecting a pullback. However, if you be naive to just say, you know what, I'm just gonna hop in and just put my stop loss above the highs and just thinking that you just gonna ride this thing down to oblivion or wherever you gonna go, they clearly can come here, spike you out, shoot it up real high for a second, and then decide to come down just to take out all the liquidity. Because please believe, there are some people that's thinking like that. They already have pending orders in, sell limits, and all of that for price to come up and do its thing. But you know what I'm saying? The banks, you know, they got these algorithms that just do, you know, one thing. They go fulfill orders. They go take orders. So let's just be mindful of that. That's why we wait for our confirmations. But on gold, this is pretty much what I see. Okay, I want to wait for a break of structure. Oh, I got this labeled all wrong. Let me change this. This is a 15-minute week. And I'm going to put an alert on both sides. Gold breaks and 15-week high. Just so I can know, you know, where I am within the market at all times. Go 15-minute BOS. Okay. So that's pretty much what I have on gold. Like most of the pairs that we have, price literally just sitting in the middle of the 15-minute structure. And so I'm waiting for the 15-minute to give me something. That way I can look to take some trades. I'm expecting today and tomorrow to be pretty slow. And so we'll just wait and let the market come to us and give us what we want to see. All right. All right, you guys, let's look at Nas. Let's check out Nas right quick. Put this 15-minute action on. All right, so I'm not gonna, you know what? We'll start off on a monthly on Nas as well. Let's take a look, see what it's doing. So we can see that our monthly is bullish. Okay, we can see price came up, came down, and then it broke this high here. Okay, so we're bullish. Nas right now is at an all-time high as well. Nas has never been up in this area, so you know we can conclude that we possibly due for a pullback because we can see that price closed. It closed with the doji. One of the things I want you guys to understand when we're looking at liquidity and all of this kind of thing, when we're looking at price, one thing that you can take notice of, and this can actually be a good strategy. And so if some people haven't looked at my liquidity video, check that out. But here, this could be a really good strategy for you guys. When you're looking at daily candles and you're looking at the previous daily candle, you can utilize a method such as this because there's liquidity on both sides of the candle. All right, both sides. And so liquidity has to be taken out on both sides. So let's look at this candle, for example. When you're looking at your bullish candles, let's just say if you mark from the body and the top here, okay? Come over here and we can label this as red, okay? Let's just say, I just do a red box. All right. And down here, all of this area down here, this can be considered as a green box, okay? Now, liquidity, like I said, liquidity has to be taken out on both sides. We can see price kind of broke up in this area, okay? So now, since price broke through this area, eventually it's gonna have to come back because it has to take out liquidity. But when you look at, you know what, let's work with this candle because this is the previous candle. Let's work with this one. So let's say we got this area here, and down here we don't even really have any liquidity down here yet because there's not really any candles. But one of the things that you can kind of take note, when price kind of breaks this area here, it took the liquidity from this candle, okay? So now, eventually, since it takes liquidity, there's liquidity at both sides of every single candle that goes on. So we can see that price closed, you know, with pretty much a doji. So we can conclude that, okay, price possibly wants to come down you know, and take out, you know, any of this stuff and may possibly take out this liquidity. Okay. So we can utilize this to say when price breaks below this red zone here, let's look for sales. Let's look for sales down in this area. When price kind of get down to this area here, you know, depending on what happens on a lower time frame, we can look for buys to come up. So just be mindful, there's liquidity on both sides of the candle, but we got to break it down fractally in each, you know, time frames to see exactly what we can do and capitalize off of. Now, because price is like this, more times than not, there's probably some break of structure on a smaller time frame. Okay, so let's go take a look. Let's go take a look. You know what? I'm gonna leave those on there, but let's look at the weekly right quick. So on a weekly, we can see that we had a bullish, bearish, bullish, which was a continuation. Price came up, gave us a nice retest, and started to give us a reaction. Okay, this is a continuation pattern. All right, so now let's go to the daily. I don't think I have any daily structure or anything marked up, but let's go ahead and do it. So on the daily, we have higher high, higher low, higher high. Let's make sure. I'll make this bigger so we can see. Yep. All right. So this is our low here. This is our high in this area here. And I'll mark, well, it's already there. Okay. Yeah, higher high, higher low, higher high. All right, that's our daily structure. All right. So now let's notate that. All right, so now let's go to our 4-hour structure. If we're looking at our 4-hour, let me see, do I got 4-hour on here already? Oh, I already got the 4-hour marked up. All right, cool. So the 4-hour, let me remove the daily for a second. 4-hour, we can see higher high, higher low, higher high, higher low, and then price kind of broke through here. All right. And we can move this up. All right. H4, H4. All right. So we can see this is our 4-hour structure here. Price pulled back, gave us a massive pullback. This is NFP. Okay, massive pullback in this area here to pretty much tap into this demand zone down here. H4 demand zone. Start to give us a reaction. Okay, so now let's break it down on a smaller time frame. Let's go to our 15-minute and kind of look and see what's going on. All right, so if we're looking at our 15-minute, we can see on a 15-minute time frame, initially we were higher high, higher low, higher high. Okay, break of structure, pull back, down, break of structure in this area here. Okay, we can see price came down, it came up, another break of structure right here, and pretty much this is pretty much coming back to retest this structural breakdown here. Okay, so let's notate those, let's mark them up, that way we can get a clear visual on what the market actually did. Okay, I'm gonna start from here. And a lot of times when I can't see the big picture, I'll go through these steps. That way, hold on, wait a minute. Do I got some of this marked up? Oh, that was one of the trades I took last week. Okay, I ain't gonna worry about that. Let's mark this up. So we're here. here, price broke here, came up here. All right. Minute break of structure. Make this bigger so you guys can see it. Okay, 15-minute break of structure. And so one of the things we wanted to see is for price to possibly come back into this 15-minute demand zone here. Okay, price didn't come back. However, let's look what price did. Price skyrocketed all the way up here. Okay, gave us a high, gave us a low, gave us another high, gave us a low. Okay, we can see we had a break of structure right here, coming back down to retest that area that it broke initially. Okay, price came down to this area. All right, and so now, right now, we're kind of resting in between. Let me remove the 4 hour for a second. So right now, these are structural points. This is our strong 15-minute, and this is our weak. All right. One of the things I want to see is for price to possibly come down to this area and tap into this area and possibly continue to the upside, or it can continue to the downside. Either one that it wants to do, you know, I'm okay with either one. Pretty much we just ride the market out how it kind of plays out. Okay. Let's do the 4 hour right here. And so yeah, we just kind of ride the market out whatever direction that it wants to go. And so with Nas, like I said, we have a lot of area to go. Being that we're bearish right now, it clearly can break through this area, taking out this liquidity down here, because there's a liquidity down in this area. Okay, so we can definitely take that out. If we throw on our session ranges, this is the previous London's low right here. Okay, so that shows you. Let me take that out right there. This is liquidity here that's ready to be taken out. London's previous low right here, just to let us know that that's liquidity in the market that needs to be taken out. There's more liquidity down in this area. You can see this is the previous New York low in this area. Okay, so there's money and liquidity all over the market, you know, kind of wherever we kind of look, there's liquidity there. And so that's pretty much what I have for Nas. Like I said, I'm bearish right now on Nas from a 15-minute perspective. But let's go look at that 4 hour just so we can make sure we understand where we are within the 4 hour for a second, because we don't want to just trade randomly and haphazardly and mess around and get blasted because we're in the market in a prime area. Let's go back to the 4 hour. Okay, and see, this is what I mean by that. Hold on, let me add this on here for a second. So right now, I really want, it's pretty much hands off for any sales for me. And I say that because right now we're in a discounted area on our H4 time frame right here. Okay, we're in a discounted area on our 4-hour time frame. And so because of that, I don't want to take any sales right now because I can clearly get blasted. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to do that. So right now, because I know we're in this zone, what I want to see is for price to come down lower, tap into that 15-minute area that we were looking for, you know, structure to create. Let's just say price come down here, you know, come up a little bit more, create us some structure, break structure, retest, and then go to the upside. That's what I want to see. Or if price decides to come down and take out all this liquidity and go this way, then we can say, okay, price can retest up here and then possibly come back down like that. But either way, I need to see one of those two scenarios happen before I get involved. Just because, like I said, right now it's in an area that's foreign, not foreign. I'm not gonna say foreign. It's in an off limits area for me. So I won't take any trades. All right. So now let's go look at the S&P 500. All right. Here's another pair that I traded quite a bit last week in the futures market. It was kicking off. And so S&P in the futures market is considered to be ES. That's what it is. Yeah, it's this one here. Okay, that's some stuff I'll play around with. But and NQ, that's NAS. Okay, YM, that's US 30. GC is gold. Okay, so for those that think about transitioning over to futures and all of that, and we might actually do some videos on that. But yeah. So looking at the S&P 500, one of the things that we can see, let's look at the monthly on this one too. We can see this one pretty much looks identical to NAS 100. One thing that I want to tell you guys that you probably don't know, some of you may, some of you might not know. US 30, NAS 100, S&P 500, they all move in tandem with each other. And so you can look at them as a big brother, middle brother, little brother. Okay, US 30 is the big brother, NAS 100 is the middle brother, S&P 500 is the little brother. Okay, more times than not, and this can be a confluence for you, whenever you're looking at these pairs and you see that they're all bullish or they're all bearish, that's where you can tell where the market is probably going to go. And this will correlate with other USD pairs as well. Okay, so right now you can see we have a little bit of bearish movement on them, and you want this change over here to be 50% or greater. That's how you can tell if the market is heavily favored in one or the other direction. So let's just say you're the type of person that you want to trade NAS 100, and you come over here and you look at this, and let's just say each one of these are 50% or greater in a bearish direction. You want to look for sales. But what if you have two of them that are bearish and one of them that are bullish? That's considered as a mixed market. Okay, and it's a lot of uncertainty, a lot of volatility, and in times like that, you don't really want to trade it. Okay, because it's a mixed market and they move in tandem with each other. When it's a mixed market, it's going to be very choppy. It's going to be very choppy because sometimes you can have US 30 and NAS, they both can be bullish, but then you got S&P 500 can be bearish. But then you might have US 30 and S&P that'll be bearish, NAS bullish. It's a mixed market. So when you look at that, you can use that as a confluence as well. Okay, so let's get back to it. So if we're looking at the weekly on this particular pair or whatever, we can see just right off the bat from a weekly, the last thing that we have is a bullish, bearish, bullish, a continuation. Okay, continuation pattern. And let's go ahead and notate that right here. So that's the last significant thing that we have from a weekly perspective. All right. put that in its own folder. Weekly. All right, let's go to the daily and see what kind of structure we have on the daily. All right, so daily is extremely choppy, man. It's ugly. It's ugly. We can see though, price came up, came down, this area down here. I'm not gonna say this one because that's just a one candle pullback. However, price came up a little bit more and gave us another pullback here. Okay, we come up to this area. We do have a 1-2 candle pullback. Okay, but it's still ugly, man. I don't like it. I just don't like this daily structure. I just don't like the way it looks. So, and because I don't like the way it looked, I'm not gonna really take analysis on the daily like that. And so here's what I'm gonna do, because I just don't like the way this looks. It's ugly. I'm just gonna notate this daily demand here. And I'm gonna do my analysis on the 4 hour. And don't be afraid if the market looks choppy and you have to guess on it. Don't, you know, if it's just really challenging, go to another time frame. Don't even get your blood pressure up with that type of stuff. Okay, so now let's look at this. On the 4 hour, we have higher high, higher low, higher high. Market had a lot of pre-market or off hours things going on. Price shot down, bam. Then what did price do? Next day it came in, filled in the gap. Oh, here's something I can tell you guys, which is a huge confluence. Let's say you go in the market, you see a huge gap, something like this, where prices look like it opened and it just shot down here. Price has to come back and fill that gap. Has to come back and fill that gap. That's something that you can definitely be mindful of. If you have a huge gap, price is definitely gonna come back to fill that gap. This is why I traded futures market a lot with the S&P 500 last week, because I caught this gap last week. I caught it up and I caught it down. That's why I traded the S&P 500. Okay, so that's something to be mindful of with any pair. If you see a gap, something like that, price has to come back and fill that gap, because something happened overnight where it was some type of major news that spiked price all the way down. Okay, all right, so this is our low, this is our high, our low, and our high. This area here. Okay, on the 4 hour. All right, so we can see that price is in our golden zone. Got to be mindful of that. Oops. All right, okay. So we see that we're in our discounted area. So we drop to our 15-minute to see what we got going on, which it looks pretty much identical to Nas 100. Like I said, big brother, middle brother, little brother. Okay. I haven't looked at US 30, but I can probably anticipate US 30 is probably going to look something similar to this. Alright, so let's look at what price is doing right now. You know, it's pretty much doing the same thing. Price came down, lower low, lower high, lower low, lower high, lower low, break a structure, pull back, price came up, broke structure right here. Okay, so let's go ahead and mark that up as well. Okay, lower low, lower high, lower low. We came up here, high, low. Wait a minute. High. Okay. Still almost the same thing though. Breaker structure area, still pretty much the same. I really don't like the way that looks. It's valid, but I'm gonna use this one just because it's liquidity right here. I'm gonna use that one. I don't like this. I'm gonna use the big move because when you look at the break of structure, I mean, it still pretty much did the same thing in these two moves. All right, so remove my 4 hour. All right, you guys, so here's our 15-minute structure. All right, so now on our 15-minute structure, this is what we're playing with. This is our range. 15-minute strong, 15-minute weak. All right. So those are the areas that we're playing with on the S&P 500. Let me put my other structures on. It's the 4 hour. I'm gonna move this over. Okay, so this lets me know that I don't want to take any sales in this area. I want to be patient and wait for price to possibly come down a little bit lower. Maybe tap into this demand zone, which is almost pretty much identical to NAS. So like I said, I want to be patient. I don't want to take any sales unless it breaks this H4 structure down here. So I want to see it come down a little lower, give me a breaker structure, and then we ride it up to the upside. Okay, that's pretty much what I have today, you guys. I'm definitely gonna be in the Discord today. Like I said, we have a lot of opportunities, a lot of the sitting on our hands that we had last week. We're not gonna have that this week. We're gonna have some action this week. And like I said, for me, probably one of the pairs that I'm really gonna be looking at is probably EU. It's gonna probably be one of my primary pairs. I'll be waiting for that breakup structure on EU because, like I said, we have a lot of potential areas that we can capture on this. We have a lot of liquidity to the downside on this. And also additionally for EU, like we said on a daily time frame, let me go back to that daily for EU. We have this demand zone right here that, you know, it broke, you know, these highs in this area here. We got a 4-hour break of structure. No, we don't. No, we don't. I'm sorry. We got the breaker structure back here. We're in a bullish momentum, but I want to see a pullback. And so within this pullback, I mean, we got a lot of liquidity to the downside that I want to see price take out. And so this is definitely a pair that we can definitely capitalize off of. We got weekly sell side liquidity all the way down here that I'm looking for price to take out, because we're bearish on the monthly, we're bearish on the weekly, we're bearish on the daily, and the 4-hour. I'm just looking for that transition on that. But it all starts with the 15-minute time frame. All right, you guys. Hey, I want to thank y'all for rocking with me on today. If y'all have any questions, hit me up in the chat, and I see y'all in the charts.